विजनवल्लभा गिरिवरदारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी 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 जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत्य श्री श्रीमान अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत्य श्री श्रीमान श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, Text 56. Right? So there's no purport for 57 through 59, so I'll just read the translation. I will chant text 60 together. 63 together. Okay. This is translation for text 57 through 59. Past, present, and future are known to me, Lord Shiva. Sanat Kumar, Narada, the most revered Lord Brahma, Kapila, the son of Devahuti, Apantaratma, Lord Vyasadeva, Devala, Yamaraj, Asuri, Marichi, and many saintly persons headed by him, as well as many others who have achieved perfection. Nonetheless, because we are covered by the illusory energy of the Lord, we cannot understand how expansive that illusory energy is. You should simply approach that Supreme Personality of Godhead to get relief. For this Sudarshan Chakra is intolerable even to us. Go to Lord Vishnu, he will certainly be kind enough to bestow all good fortune upon you. Text 60. Thereafter, being disappointed even in taking shelter of Lord Shiva, Durvasa Muni went to Vaikuntha Dham, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, resides with his consort, the goddess of fortune. Text 61. Durvasa Muni, the great mystic, scorched by the heat of Sudarshan Chakra, fell at the lotus feet of Narayana. His body trembling, he spoke as follows: O infallible, unlimited Lord, protector of the entire universe, you are the only desirable objective for all devotees. I am a great offender, my Lord. Please give me protection. 62. O my Lord, O Supreme Controller, without knowledge of your unlimited prowess, I have offended your most dear devotee. Very kindly save me from the reaction of this offense. You can do everything, for even if a person is fit for going to hell, you can deliver him simply by awakening within his heart the holy name of your Lordship. Text 63. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Aham Bhakta Paradino Haisvan Tantra Iva Duja. How is it pronounced? Yasvan Tantra Iva Dvija Sadhubir Grasta Hridayo Bhaktair Bhakta Jana Priya. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Aham Bhakta Paradino Hi Hisvan Tantra Iva Dvija Sadhubir Grasta Hridayo Bhaktair Bhakta Jana Priya. Chant, please. Mataji's, please. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Aham, I, Bhakta Paradina, am dependent on the will of my devotees. He, indeed, Asvatantra, am not independent. Eva, exactly like that. Dvija, O Brahmana. Sadhubhi, by pure devotees, completely free from material desires. Grasta Hridaya, my heart is controlled. Bhaktai, because they are devotees. Bhakta Janapriya, I am dependent not only on my devotee, but also on my devotee's devotee. The devotee's devotee is extremely dear to me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the core of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. Purport: all the great stalwart personalities in the universe, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, are fully under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully under the control of his devotee. Why is this? Because the devotee is anya vilasita sunya. In other words, he has no material desires in his heart. His only desire is to think always of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how to serve Him best. Because of this transcendental qualification, the Supreme Lord is extremely favorable to the devotees. Indeed, not only the devotees, but also the devotees of the devotees. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistare Payeche Keba. Without being a devotee of a devotee, one cannot be released from material entanglement. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had identified himself as Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur, Dasa Dasanudasa. Thus, he instructed us to become not directly servants of Krishna, but servants of the servant of Krishna. Devotees like Brahma, Narada, Vyasadeva and Sukadeva Goswami are directly servants of Krishna. And one who becomes a servant of Narada, Vyasadeva and Sukadeva, like the 6 Goswamis, is still more devoted. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur therefore says, Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasada. If one very sincerely serves the spiritual master, Krishna certainly becomes favorable to such a devotee. Following the instructions of a devotee is more valuable than following the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Bhastaya Budle Srimate Devamrita Swaminiti Namini. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutle Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Destarni. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Very beautiful verse, very famous verse also. I'm very blessed to be able to say something on this verse. So in this translation and purport, Prabhupada is giving us the process of Bhakti Yoga. This is actually the process and this is actually the essence. It's very clear and straightforward, the message. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Labha Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Sarva Shastra Koi, Lord Chaitanya said, this is the essence of all the scriptures. And Labha Matra means the time it takes for the upper eyelid to touch the lower eyelid. That much time is enough to attain perfection if we meet the right person. So this is the instruction, and it's actually very easy to understand in a sense, but we are so complex that we cannot understand the simple message. Like Prabhupada said one time, Krishna consciousness is so simple, you will actually miss it. There was this example of this logician and the bull. There was a farmer who had a bull, and the farmer had a bell around the neck of the bull. So the farmer was resting, and the bull was working. And the way the farmer would know the bull is working is he would keep hearing the bell like ringing. So one logician was passing by and he asked the farmer, like, why are you resting? He said, oh, my bull is doing all the work. How do you know he's doing all the work? Because I can hear the bell ringing. And the logician said, oh, what about if the bull is just sitting down and shaking his head, not working? And the farmer said, oh, it's actually a simple bull, not a complicated logician. So he doesn't know all these intricacies. So sometimes we're so complicated we cannot understand, but the message is very straightforward. And it's also mentioned in our scriptures that the way we can tell if somebody has the Lord's mercy or Krishna's mercy is that you can see in that person's life he has devotee association and he has a bona fide spiritual master. If a person has these things, then he is the most fortunate. And you can see that Krishna has profusely blessed him. The example of Ravana is given. Ravana, for example, he had everything. He was actually born in a Brahmin parents and he was so powerful. He had special brothers like Vibhishan, Kumbhakarna. And it's explained his wife was so beautiful, Mandodari, that when Hanuman went there, he mistook her to be Sita. She was so beautiful and chaste. And he had gold, he had everything, but he's considered very unfortunate because he didn't have any devotee association. So this is very important factor in a person's life. And somebody asked Prabhupada, what's the difference between a book Bhagavat and a person Bhagavat? And Prabhupada said, a person Bhagavat can pull you by the ear and correct you when you make mistakes, and the spiritual master can chastise you. But the book Bhagavat, you have to be like so sincere and have some brain to understand. So it's very important to have a spiritual master. who can train us. Who can train us in the mood of, like what we're reading in the purport, servant of the servant. Like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when so many people used to come to see him. Somebody would say, oh, I'm the biggest businessman, and Bhakti Siddhanta would tell his disciples, I'm busy. Somebody would say like, oh, I'm so wealthy, I want to make some donations. Bhakti Siddhanta would say, I'm busy. Some people even come and say, I'm a Krishna devotee. And Bhakti Siddhanta don't have time. But as soon as if somebody says, I'm a dasanu, das, I'm the servant of your devotees. And then he had all the time in the world for them. So this is actually the mood of Vaishnavas. When we have this right mood and we approach a devotee of Krishna, it's actually explained in our books that the devotee is more merciful than Krishna himself. Like Prabhupada ends the purport by saying, to follow the instructions of a devotee is more important than following the instructions of Krishna himself. When I was in South India last year in the Sri Rangam temple, there are so many beautiful artwork in the walls of the temple as you're doing like the parikrama, then you can read all about it. There were these two of them, they were so, still fresh in my mind. The importance of how merciful the devotee is and how important it is to approach a devotee, to approach Krishna. One of the paintings, he was showing how, Vibhishan, the brother of Ravana, he wanted to actually join. He wanted to join Lord Ram, but the associates of Ram, they were like not sure. They said, this person, he comes from, he's a brother of Ravana, how can you like trust him, So they were like questioning him. I mean, we kind of understand what it took for Vibhishan to give up everything to come to Ram. And they were questioning him. And then Ram asked, like, Hanuman, what do you say? Hanuman said, he is sincere, I can tell he's sincere, so let him in. So as Ramanujacharya was discussing this pastime, one person in the audience, he stood up and he was about to leave. And Ramanujacharya asked him, like, where are you going? And the person said, Vibhishan renounced everything. And still there's so many tests for him and they didn't believe him. And I'm so attached, I'm so fallen, what hope is there for me? So I might as well leave. And Ramanujacharya said, you sit down because this is not Ram's Goshti, this is Ramanuja's Goshti. Here everybody is welcome, no questions asked. So he made him sit down, and it's also explained how when Vibhishan was admitted into Ram's army, Vibhishan came with few of the Rakshasa associates, but they were not like interrogated, they were just allowed in just because they were with Vibhishan. So the point was made how the spiritual master is so wonderful and is so dear to Krishna. We may not be so qualified ourselves. I mean, doesn't mean like we have to be a nonsense, but whatever shortcomings we have, because we're serving the spiritual master through his recommendation, we can also get the mercy of Krishna. And the other pastime was how, this celebrated disciple of Ramanujacharya, Quresh, he was such an amazing disciple. There's so many amazing services he did. One time there was this fanatic king who was a Saivite, who was fanatically saying that Lord Shiva is the supreme. And the king had one of his ministers who informed the king, as long as Ramanujacharya is around and alive, you can prove that Lord Shiva is the supreme. Either you have to defeat him or get rid of him. That's the only way you can establish Shiva as the supreme. So the king sent his guards to bring Ramanujacharya. And Quraysh, Ramanujacharya was wearing saffron, was sannyasi, and Quraysh was a householder. He had white cloth. So Quraysh actually begged his guru and said, if you go to the court, I know what's going to happen. So please allow me to do this service for you, Guru Maharaj. You don't have to go there, I will take care of it. So we'll just exchange cloth. So Quraysh actually traded with the spiritual master. He put on the robes of sannyasi and the guru took on the white cloth. Anyway, a long story, but they actually poked the eyes out of Quraysh just because he didn't agree that Lord Shiva is supreme. Can you imagine what extent he went to serve his spiritual master? Anyway, he was such an amazing disciple. One time, Quraysh actually had this revelation that his spiritual master is going to leave this world very soon. And it's explained that, that if you go to the spiritual world, whoever comes after you, you go to the gates of Vaikuntha to receive them. So Quraysh was thinking, if my spiritual master goes before me, and then I go after him, I don't want him to come and receive me. I want to be there making arrangements for him. So he actually went to the deity of Ranganath and he begged, I know I'm so unqualified, I'm so fallen. But any chance, you think I can go to Vaikuntha? And the deity said, Quraysh, what to speak of you? Anybody that's associated with you, anybody that's connected to you, whoever you point fingers at, they will all go. You can take whoever you want. You have full freedom, full access. And when Ramanujacharya was told that Quraysh went in front of the deity and he was praying that he's going to leave this world soon, and the deity told him, whoever is connected to you will go to Godhead, Ramanujacharya actually started dancing in happiness, and they asked, why you're happy? And Ramanujacharya said, because Vishnu said that whoever is connected to him will go to Godhead, and I'm also connected to him. So I have some hope. So you can see in the mood of the Guru and disciple and Vaishnavas is so sweet. The Shastra-krit Prabhu, he remembers how one time in the Radha Damodar temple where, when Prabhupada went back after being successful in preaching in America, Jamuna Mataji actually made this incredible lunch for Prabhupada. And Shastra-krit Prabhu was, serving, and Prabhupada actually said to Shastra-krit Prabhu, sit down, let's take prasad together. And Shastra-krit Prabhu said, no, I don't, how can I eat with you, Prabhupada? You take first. And Prabhupada insisted, no, sit. So prasadam was so special, so amazing, so many varieties, and so satisfying to be with Prabhupada and take prasadam. And Shastra-krit Prabhu kept thanking Yamuna Mataji. And Prabhupada said, tomorrow you cook for her. So it's not just like you keep saying thank you, but it's not just one-way street. Like now you took prasad, now you have to serve her. So in the association of devotees, we learn who is Krishna and how to please him. Otherwise we cannot understand. Not even the demigods can understand Krishna. There was one time this musician that came to Srila Prabhupada in the manor, Dhanavan. And Prabhupada was talking to him, and he had his bodyguards and beautiful woman with him, and all of a sudden in the middle of Prabhupada's trying to explain something, this guy just like blurted out and spoke up and said, Prabhupada, I'm God. And then Prabhupada, so amazing, to relate to him. Prabhupada didn't actually quote from Gita or Bhagavatam. Prabhupada asked the disciples to bring the dictionary and look up the definition of what it says about God. And then one of the things that it said was that God is omniscient. So Prabhupada asked him, are you omniscient? And the person said, no. Prabhupada said, that means you don't know what God is. How can, it's not a cheap thing. It was so amazing how Prabhupada explained it to him. Prabhupada would often say it's not a cheap thing to claim to be Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, how when the devotees of Lord Chaitanya would come to see him during Rath Yatra, like Raghav Pandit, Sivananda Sen, Advaita Acharya, and they would bring so much prasadam to feed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Everything made from scratch for months and months they will make. Sweets and bitter items and digestive aids and so many things. And they would all give it to Govinda. And Govinda would offer to Lord Chaitanya, we have these bags and bags of prasadam from Advaita Acharya. Chaitanya would say, just put it in the next room. Or we have these bags and bags of prasadam made with so much love by Raghav Pandit. Or put it in the next room. Again, say Sivananda Sen has brought some more prasadam, so put it in the next room. So all the devotees would like ask Govinda all the time, did Lord try any of these preparations? Was it to your what is to his liking? Sometimes when you're trying to be a servant, it's not easy. It's like you have to deal with so many requests. So Govinda went to the Lord and said, my Lord, all the Vaishnavas are asking me again and again if you ate any of these preparations, and I can't lie to them. So Lord Chaitanya one day went into the room, sat down and ate the whole room full of prasadam in one sitting. And Govinda was so happy to give the feedback to the devotees, and everybody was so happy. So by receiving the mercy of devotees, by receiving the mercy of the spiritual master, then Prabhupada writes in the purport, we can become released from all material entanglement. Also Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita that the saintly person, the spiritual master, can bless us in 3 ways. Like Prabhupada gives the example, just like a mammal, it gives birth and then it gives milk to the offspring. That way it nourishes the offspring. Similarly, sometimes we are in physical contact with the spiritual master. He gives us embrace, or we get like a maha cloth or something. Every time my guru leaves, I find something in the bin, like a t-shirt or socks or something. It's so ecstatic. I mean, this tendency is there in all the spirit souls to worship somebody higher, and it's like it's explained when the Beatles went to Seattle to perform. They stayed in a hotel, and the owner of the hotel actually cut all the towels into small square pieces, and he auctioned it and made like millions of dollars. People were in ecstasy to receive this maha cloth. So this tendency is there. So when we receive some physical contact with the spiritual master, he's very happy. If he's happy with us, then we make progress. And also Prabhupada gives the example of a fish. The way the fish nourishes the offsprings is, sometimes the mother is swimming and there's like a whole bunch of babies following her, and then she would turn around and glance very affectionately with so much love, and that energy actually nourishes the babies. So sometimes even a saintly person glances in a very favorable way with love, with compassion, then we are blessed. And also it's explained that the tortoise, it's in the middle of the ocean, but it lays eggs in the land somewhere far, far away. but just the meditation on the eggs actually hatches the eggs and the babies come out. Such a powerful meditation. So sometimes the spiritual master or some senior Vaishnavas, if they think about us in a favorable way, even from a far distance, we are blessed. What an amazing process. And this is the mercy of the spiritual master to bring us to our original consciousness. Like one time Prabhupada was walking, morning walk, and he kept like smashing these, cubes of ice with his cane. And when we was asked, Prabhupada explained how this ice is actually a artificial state of water. The water is supposed to be liquid and flowing. But in certain conditions, in certain weather conditions, the water actually becomes frozen. Similarly, our hearts, we are Krishna conscious, but right now we become like hard-hearted. So the spiritual master, through his mercy, brings us back to our original state. Prabhupada would often say in this verse, Guru Krishna prasade pai bhakti lata bij, brahmanda brahmite kon bhagyavan jeev, Guru Krishna prasade pai bhakti lata bij. That the spirit soul is wandering throughout the universe, but by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, he receives the seed of Bhakti Yoga. Like Vijay Prabhu gave a beautiful class yesterday, and he was explaining how the disciples of Prabhupada, they had so much love for Prabhupada. That's actually the process to have this love for spiritual master. The devotees loved Prabhupada so much that sometimes Prabhupada would even say a joke that the disciples can't even understand. It's like a Bengali joke or something. Still the disciples would laugh like anything, even though they can understand like fully what he was trying to say. So this is actually love for the spiritual master. And if we have that, we can go the distance. It's like Yadubar Prabhu, he was traveling with the devotees in Gujarat and in India, but he was not at the time, he was not a devotee. He was just like doing a documentary. And one day Prabhupada asked him, so are you going to become a devotee? And Yadubar Prabhu at that time, he said no. And then Prabhupada said, that means you cannot stay. So Yadubar Prabhu thought, Prabhupada is trying to like kick him out of the, accommodation. He's like, prasadam like that. But later he understood that Prabhupada was not referring to this temporary stay of his, but he was saying, it's a very like valuable instruction, that unless we are really Krishna conscious, we cannot fake it, we cannot stay, we have to, Maya will capture us. Like somebody asked Prabhupada, like, what brought us to this world? And what's keeping us in this world? People ask this all the time. And Prabhupada said, it's causeless stupidity. there is no like, explanation. So this is actually a serious thing, how to come out of this causeless stupidity. How to come out of this maze. It's a science, it's a serious business. Sometimes, people watch like a, Mahabharat video or something and they think like, they know everything. But it's not so cheap. Yesterday we were in USC. We were, doing a small program. And there was one American kid and one Indian boy was trying to talk to this American student about the Gita philosophy, and this Indian boy starts telling him like stories from Mahabharat. And this boy looked like so bewildered, because he couldn't understand anything. He couldn't understand. So sometimes, we think like, okay, I know the story of Mahabharata, so I know everything, but it's not like that. We need to be trained in the science and understanding. The Bhagavatam actually gives the example how this world is like an ocean. ocean of birth and death, Bhavasagara. And in this ocean, this human form of life is actually like a valuable boat. And if you're on a boat, you still feel seasick, but at least you're above the water. And the spiritual master is actually the captain, because we need captain. And then the Vedas, they're like the favorable winds. So with this combination, we can attain perfection. Prahlad Maharaj says, Durlabha Manasya Janma Tadapi Adruvam Artadam. Prahlad Maharaj says, life is short, human form of life is temporary, but it can give us something very precious. We can attain success. Life is so short, nowadays it's like you can have midlife crisis in 30s. I was reading a joke how it says like midlife crisis means, finally we get the head together and the body falls apart. So this is like short life, but it's very valuable. And this, we can actually awaken our consciousness. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually went to Jagannath Puri and he took darshan of Lord Jagannath, he saw Krishna himself, non-different from Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went into ecstatic state and he fainted. So much so everybody thought like he died. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya actually put a fine cotton swab in his nose and you can still see this, wow, this is a very advanced personality. And the devotees came and they performed loudly Harinam, and then Lord Chaitanya came to consciousness. We are also unconscious, not in devotional ecstasies, but we are unconscious due to Maya. But by chanting, by loudly chanting, we actually can regain our consciousness. Regardless of what's going on, what's working or not working, as long as we have this, we are fortunate. Just like Haridas Thakur told these prisoners. Haridas Thakur was put in prison, Chaitanya Bhagavata explains, because of he was performing Nam Sankirtan. And he actually blessed the prisoners saying, just continue to be the way you are. And they were bewildered, we were in the dark cell, we were suffering, we have no family, nothing. Haridas Thakur explained to them, you're also fortunate because you're in prison and at least you know that you're in prison. But people outside, there's so much an illusion that they're in prison, but they don't even know they're in prison. They artificially thinking they're happy. So the example is given how this human form of life is like a plane, and we are seated on this plane, and our goal is to go back to Godhead, but sometimes the planes get like hijacked. Maya sensor hijackers. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, lust, greed, anger, envy, pride, they kidnap us, they hijack. Usually when you get hijacked, you don't go to your destination, you're taken somewhere else, which is not a very pleasant thing. It's very confusing. But how to be protected from that is through heightened security. That's why we have in the airports, we have so much security just to protect from all this. So that's what it is. That's what this chanting of Hare Krishna does to us. It gives us protection. But I also read an article. It said somebody put some some plastic explosives in their luggages, and the TSA didn't even detect it. It came out the other side, no problem. So much for us standing in like security line for hours, but they didn't even detect it. So sometimes it's like that, like sometimes you're not able to detect like these things. So like Prabhupada is very beautifully explaining in the purport how to attain success by practicing chanting Hare Krishna. in the association of devotees and having a bona fide spiritual master, then the process is easy. Any questions or comments? Sachito nai, Prabhu.
Shastra-krit Prabhu, thank you very much. This verse that you just spoken was from the Bhagavatam is so powerful that actually I have some personal realization that I was reluctant to actually, take shelter from a devotee after having some experience of initiation. So even many devotees ask me many times, is it possible that we can just, you just chant Hare Krishna, do service, but don't take initiation? That question was asked to me from different devotees like that. And but the verse says that Krishna is pleased. What to speak of, he's pleased with his devotee, but what to speak of the devotees of the devotees? So when I read that verse, I thought, das, and udas. And you, in your explanation, there was at least 5 or 10 different times in which specifically, it's clearly said that we have to take shelter of a devotee. And especially I like when you make reference that devotee who asked the question to Prabhupada about what's the difference between the book Bhagavad and the person Bhagavad. That's so wonderful that the book Bhagavad, you can read it, but the person Bhagavad, he can pull your ears. Because sometimes some people will just say, oh, I'm just going to read the books, and that's good enough. But actually, when it comes to chastisement, they don't get any chastisement. So thank you very much. And this devotee has a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for your wonderful class. You mentioned that Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita mentioned 3 different ways in how the spiritual master bless the devotee. So I want to know if I understood well. You gave the example of the fish.
Can you speak louder?
Okay, you gave the example of the fish, and then what are the other 2 that I missed?
Like a mammal, fish, and the tortoise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.